This interview is for information only and should not be considered as investment advice or a recommendation to buy shares in the company featured. Welcome to this Stock Box interview. Welcome to the Research Talks here, of course, from Stockbox with Alan Green. And how are you again, Alan? As I believe summer is officially over in the UK, I've heard that autumn is definitely feeling like it's in. It's not quite made its way over to the Netherlands yet because we're still having very warm, quite humid days, which is nice. I think hanging on to it a little bit longer. But how are you? How are things?
Well, actually, Mark, that was a very good summary. Summer has abruptly ended, or so it seems here on the South Coast. So I'm now sitting in the office. I've got jeans, I've got a t-shirt and a cardigan on. Fancy that? It's not warm.
As long as the heating's not on yet.
No. We've so far resisted putting the heating on, but if it carries on like this, it won't be long. The heating will go back on for sure. But yeah, pouring rain, torrential rain, and dark skies. Woke up this morning and thought, goodness me, is it still the middle of the night? Oh no, it's.
Oh wow! Well, it's probably only a matter of time before it makes its way over here. But again, it's looking like a nice day, so I'm definitely going to try and make the most of it. While we still have some of it left. But anyway, no, that's good to hear. And of course, this week things picking up just a little bit on the markets as we're going into September here. I know we've got a little bit more busier with Stockbox, Great Southern Copper announcing some expansion to their targets based on looking at some historical drilling and works that have been done. So they're finalising their plans there. I know also Fulcrum Metals, Ryan returned from Canada. They're going to start doing their own work on the ground, which is good. So they're not the complete behest of extract, which is nice to see. They can actually get doing some things themselves. Some of the small bits of news, Zenova PLC coming out and announcing some new contract wins, etc., and their finals. And also we have a new company who will be appearing, which is a bit different for Stockbox. It's called Cook's Coffee. And yes, you've guessed it, it's all about coffee. It's a very interesting model, franchise-based, but stand by from Stockbox for an introduction from Cook's Coffee, and hopefully a fair bit of news flow from those guys as we go into year end. So I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, from your point of view, Alan, how are things? Seeing a bit more interest in, noise from the markets?
There's certainly more noise from the market. Certainly, there's a sense that things are starting to build up as we go into autumn, and I think as well, once the summer vibe is out of the way, I think everyone returns to the markets. We should see an improvement in liquidity and volumes, trading wise generally. But also I think there's a sense that a lot of companies are optimistic about the prospects in the markets in the run of Christmas. I think we've said this before. We've got the macro picture. We've got US elections. We're in the run up to those. So there are many potential drivers for the markets as we go forward. And of course, there's always the prospect of further interest rate cuts in the UK, which will hopefully create a more risk-off attitude from investors towards picking up stocks and trading generally. So hopeful, and looking forward to the autumn.
Indeed. Good stuff. Well, let's catch up on First Class Metals. Of course, Mark's there returning from their field season out in Canada. And then we'll talk about ONDO InsurTech, who had some great news with NFU Mutual the other day. And then we'll finish off with Vinanz, who are forever building their Bitcoin mining capacity. So let's start with First Class Metals, Alan, and the latest from First Class.
Well, First Class, of course, are a Canada and Ontario-focused mining company. The chief executive, Mark Sale, has been around in the industry for many years. He's widely regarded and respected as a great geologist and a great chief executive. Of course, he's well known for publishing great social media content on site and really giving you an on-the-ground feel of how it is with the various prospects and projects that the company is running. So just to summarize the company's portfolio, the company has 11 claim blocks in total in Northwest Ontario. The actual area is over 250 square kilometers. It has 100% ownership of 7 of those blocks, and that covers 175 square kilometers. The actual prospects themselves, I'll just run through them briefly. But of course, we have North Hemlow, which is well known because of course the Barrick Hemlow gold mine is some 23 kilometers south of that asset. We have the drill proven nickel sulfides in the area. Of course, we've got the Magical and the Essa properties, the McKellar properties, which contain geochemical targets. Then to the west of Lake Superior, we have the Sunbeam mine, where there's an option to purchase. There's a joint venture agreement to the north of Lake Superior, which of course is the Zigzag lithium project, and more recently an earn-in opportunity at the Kerrs Gold project, which is at the Timmins gold resource, and the gold resource there is some 386,000 ounces of gold. There's also an earn-in opportunity at the Quinlan lithium project also. So the Dead Otter gold trend is the one that has really been to the fore recently. The company announced in July it had identified a 3.7 kilometer gold trend at Dead Otter, which is just make you wonder who actually named that prospect in the first place. But anyway, Dead Otter it is, and across this asset, there are a number of there were initially a number of visible gold gold samples noted. Some of the samples were pretty prominent. The gradings on these included 19.6 grams per ton gold and 13.6 grams per ton. And then, of course, early this week, the company announced and updated on the work it had undertaken there. And stripping and sampling have been undertaken at 3 locations. The channel sampling work that was undertaken involved the cutting of 18 channels, and indeed on that announcement, I mentioned how good the company was with social media and imparting the work it was undertaking. There's great pictures. If you look at the announcement and scroll through the announcement, you'll see some great pictures of the work that's been undertaken, and indeed figure 6, the outcrop that was cleaned up and marked up for cutting samples, then pictures of the cutting of the samples, and then the cutting and the measuring that was taking place after that. And of course, Mark, going back to last year, when there was the presentation on mining in Canada that you hosted with Stockbox, we saw Mark present at that event, and he also brought some samples with him to the show. So again, there's a very exciting opportunity, it would seem, at Dead Otter. The company's submitted over 100 samples for photon assay, and of course, if you've listened to these research talks, you'll be familiar with the term photon assay. It was also utilized by ECR Minerals with some of their assets in Australia, but it's a very quick and accurate way of assessing the prospectivity of rocks and samples when compared to the normal fire assay technique, which, while it's probably slightly more accurate, it takes a lot longer. Nonetheless, some of those channel samples are being analysed at a lab in Thunder Bay. The first assay results are expected within the month, and the subsequent batches will be processed in the coming weeks. But Mark Sale commented on those on the work that had been undertaken there, and he said the exploration work continues to deliver positive results. Visually, the channels that they've cut show that the 19 grams a ton is potentially not an isolated high grade occurrence. So what these the results from the stripping and sampling will lead to is narrowing down on those all important drill targets, and also planning out the expansion or establishing the expansion of the footprint of that mineralized structure as the work continues. So it's a work in progress, but of course this is just one of the assets the company is currently working on. We expect to hear more from the ESSA project going forward. We expect to hear more from the Zigzag Lithium asset. So I sense there's an awful lot of news flow to come. And as we know, and Mark is often talking to you in the interviews, Mark, I'm sure we're going to hear plenty more updates from the Canada assets in the coming weeks. So yeah, just a word on the share price as well. The shares have of course come back quite dramatically over the past year, very much in keeping with other stocks in the sector. Currently trading at 3.1p, so it does appear as though we're bouncing off that year low now. The shares did bounce up to 4.8p in July, but I would expect to see from this point a steady build as the news flow starts to come in. So yeah, everything to look forward to for the autumn.
Indeed, and I do expect, I'm sure we'll be speaking to Mark Sale once some of those results have come back from that program that he's recently returned from. So we'll see what they turn up. But if we move on and talk about ONDO InsurTech, then a great little company, insurance play there, with winning a contract with the NFU Mutual only this week actually, Tuesday, wasn't it?
This week, yeah, indeed. It as you say, Mark, a great little company. I know you've interviewed Craig many times. I, of course, had the privilege of interviewing Craig about a month ago, and it was very, very interesting to hear him talk about the company and, of course, about the history of the company. But again, it's I think gone when you're looking to invest in an asset or an opportunity. It's understanding what the company does and the investment opportunity in front of you. And I think the thing is with ONDO, it's really simple to understand the proposition, because ONDO InsurTech it came to market in March 2022 when a cash shell spinnaker acquisition reversed into LeakBot Limited and then became ONDO InsurTech. And of course, LeakBot is that Internet of Things based claims prevention system, which can reduce the cost of water damage claims by up to 70%. And a lot of intel, a lot of research has gone into this, but more recently, of course, we've seen absolute cast iron results from insurance companies claiming that having implemented LeakBot across their customer base, they're seeing huge falls in claims and also the associated costs with that. And I think it's to date, the average LeakBot is expected to save an insurer on somewhere in the region of $140 of annual claims. That's per installation. So it really is, the numbers are absolutely compelling. Interesting history to note with this too. Of course, the Craig Foster, CEO and co-founder, formerly worked with Procter & Gamble and then worked for HomeServe, and he worked in the labs at HomeServe, of course, the insurance company. They developed LeakBot in the labs there, and at that stage it became the Insurance Times Tech Champion of the Year. Was then spun out into the commercial sector with Craig heading the company up, and also Craig took with him the scientist that he'd worked with to invent LeakBot, and Sam is still very much part of that part of the team going forward. So the cost at that stage was some 16 billion per year to insurers, and since the company has started to roll this out across insurers, they're now in 111,000 homes around the world. They're working with 18 insurance companies. They've got recurring revenues of 41%, and the news flow and the contract wins are just continuing to roll and continue to grow. Back in June, we heard that Nationwide and Pure Insurance companies in the US are expanding their LeakBot programs into Washington State. The company's also appointed Wendy Leibowitz as Customer Services Director for the Northern USA. She formerly worked for smart home security company SimpliSafe. Of course, you went to see Craig present at the ITC DIA, the show in Amsterdam, Mark, and interview Craig there. So a very strong summer for the company. Then, of course, we had the full year results announced in July. Revenues up nearly 30% to 2.7 million. Already mentioned the recurring revenues up to 41% higher, and also the reduced operating loss for the year, which is hugely significant. So, of course, as the company continues to grow, those losses will narrow, and then we break into profit, and you then have a completely different investment proposition. We heard about further contract wins. The Ageas UK, of course, the UK insurance company, launched a pilot. Länsförsäkringar, the Swedish insurance company, said LeakBot had delivered a 40% reduction in damage claims in Sweden. Cast iron evidence there of the efficacy of LeakBot. And also, the company announced a new contract win with a US super regional personal lines company, insurance company in Jersey. And then, as you say, Mark, this week, contract win with NFU Mutual, which involves a planned rollout of 17,000 units by January next year. NFU's got 900,000 customers, so of course that's going to add significant chunks of customers to the existing database. And also, LeakBot USA was admitted to the Internet of Things Insurance Observatory, which is a think tank focused on the application of Internet of Things into insurance. And of course, I think they're probably going to be chairing that committee before too long. But great work from the company. I expect more of the same. The company, of course, raised 4.2 million in a placing and open offer at 14p. The shares have since April this year have pretty well remained around the 14-15p mark. So it's very, I would say very much a 4 at this level now. But if you buy the shares at this level, you're basically going at the same price as those that took part in the fundraising. So I think there's a great opportunity with the stock right now to pick it up, at a discount. I mean, the company's got a market cap of just 17 million, and as we've spoken about with other companies and products on the podcast previously, Mark, when you get embedded into insurance organizations or large organizations, that's really sticky revenue. That's once you become part of an infrastructure like that, it's very hard to then remove it and replace it with something else. So it's the company is still in a great opportunity, I think, to expand. And once that those reduced losses before tax turn into profit, then I think we're really going to start to see the share price accelerate north.
Yeah, I think ONDO's a nice little long-term hold, really, as they're building out with this great little product, getting into insurance companies, as you say, big names, starting off with a trial order and then going, all being well, to full rollout, already happening in Sweden. One of their first customers, NFU, of course, saying that providing the trial period goes well, roll out across the group, and of course the United States as well. So when they go to this this conference, that hopefully will unlock even more doors for them over in the United States. So I think ONDO's just more of the same, like you say, more contract wins until such time as I don't know, they get a NASDAQ listing or that they're sort of bought out. I guess, by one of the bigger insurance groups, maybe, because it definitely seems to work, their technology, and the results coming back from insurance companies. Always very encouraging words that we're seeing. So yeah, I think it's a nice little long-term hold, ONDO InsurTech. So yeah, thank you, Alan. Let's finish off. Let's finish off with Vinanz, or as David Lenegas told me, Vinanz, if you are in the United States, which of course is where they're planning to do a bit more of a push at the moment. Now they've got their listing away.
But they certainly are. I mean, this is a lesson, I think, on how to run a crypto. A company engaged in the crypto space. I think Vinanz, as we should perhaps pronounce the company name, have absolutely blazed the trail since coming to market. I mean, if you take a look at the share price chart, the company came to market last year. I think it was that the shares were trading at about 2.7p. Here we are at 12.8p. Of course, the shares have popped as high. Briefly saw 13.2p early this year, but decent volume for an Aquis traded stock, with currently with a market capitalization of just 21 million. So Vinanz was set up to build a fully fledged Bitcoin mining company, focusing firstly on installing clusters of miners across multiple facilities via third-party crypto mining organizations, and then scaling that up across states and across country. The company is going to eventually consider other cryptocurrencies and other operations in the DeFi and big data space. But of course, initially listing through Aquis, the company has started trading on the US OTCQB venture market last year, and since then it's just been a story of growth all the way. The company has steadily expanded its fleet of Bitcoin miners from an initial few hundred. It now has well over 400 miners across the US and Canada. And if you look at the news flow, particularly throughout the summer, the company's been expanding into Iowa, into Nebraska. It's just announced it's expanding into Texas, and this is just the story all the way through. So we're going to see much more of this going forward. But I think what really has focused my attention this time, there was a research note published by Litchfield Hills in July, and it's actually on the, if you go and look at the company on the Aquis website, you can pick this note out. And the analyst Theodore O'Neill initiated coverage with a buy rating and a $3 or £2.07 price target. Now, bear in mind the shares are currently trading at 12.8p. It gives you some idea of the potential upside. So he refers to Vinanz as a balance sheet like technology rich business. The company has no debt. The model is fully de-risked because there's no investment into the infrastructure. The company simply partners with existing miners and works with those companies, and of course it's on a commission basis. So the business has built, and the company expects to see substantial growth in the very near future. The company says the valuation is attractive. It only began generating revenue mid last year, which makes meaningless comparisons to most peers, but the comparisons going forwards, and it's based on the multiple of market cap sales of 8.3 times. If the same multiple holds for 2026, even if Vinanz only achieves an average multiple, it's expecting a market capitalization of $120 million. That's sort of 75 to 80 million sterling. So of course that's compared to the 20 million market cap at the moment. Either way, whichever whichever valuation model you apply, the Litchfield Hills believe the company is substantially undervalued as it stands at present, and given the pace of developments and the growth, it estimates it will have secured the services of over 1,000 miners by spring 2025. So we've already seen substantial growth delivered, and also that's been reflected in some ways in the share price. But I think as often happens, you get to a stage where the business starts to expand, and then you hit an exponential growth curve where expansion starts to ramp up, and then due to the revenue that's generating, other opportunities present themselves, and perhaps the company diversifies into other elements of DeFi or other opportunities. Either way, I think the company offers great value at present at 12.8p with a 20 million market cap. You know, if as Litchfield say, the uplift takes it to 70 to 80 million in a few years' time, that's a multi-bagger in every sense of the word. And don't be discouraged by the fact that it's traded on Aquis. I think the US OTC listing has really added fuel to the fire in terms of arbitrage, and I think we're going to see a lot more growth in the coming months, and plenty more agreements with miners and further additions to those miners, hopefully hitting that target of 1,000 miners by spring next year.
Yeah, indeed, and that's what David wants to achieve, doesn't he? Just keep getting more and more miners going. I think he said he wants to be in half of the United States throughout the course of next year. So that's quite a big ambition, but he's going for it, and he wants to build it. He's been quite clear on recent interviews. The last one we did with him, I think, only last week. He wants to build Vinanz into $1 billion company.
I think he's got every opportunity to do that because of the way he's doing it. Because the company has no debt, the model is completely de-risked, and of course he's just. But as the company grows, as the revenues increase, more opportunities will present themselves, and perhaps the company can diversify and accelerate growth in other ways too. So that's the exciting thing, and I think David's no doubt got his eye on that, and that certain opportunities will present themselves, and I'm sure we'll hear about them in due course.
Indeed. Well, thank you very much as always, Alan, for your time today, and we'll catch up again next week.
Thank you, Mark.
If you enjoyed this interview, then give us a thumbs up, a like or a retweet. Subscribe to us on YouTube or follow us on Twitter, and hit that notification bell to be the first to know when we release new content. There's loads of great content on our website too, across all our programs at stockboxmedia.com. Thank you for watching.